Okay, class, welcome to Physiological Psychology. Today's talk is aimed at orienting us to the perspective taken by the vast majority of neuroscientists and behavioral neuroscientists. So, one of the key concepts I want to make sure we start off with uh, is this notion that often we say our body or to take care of our body or language like this. I'd like us to stop thinking that you have a body and start thinking that you are a body. And that really is the monistic perspective that the mind is the result of the brain doing its work. Now, one of the topics I'd like to talk about is free will. Now, defining free will is not necessarily as easy as it might sound, but let's call it the sense that we have personal and direct control over our actions, decisions, and even our preferences, and that these decisions we make are our own and as a result of our agency in this world. Now, the perspective in this course and in this field is that actually we don't have free will. We don't really have anything close to free will. So, how do we make sense of the universe? Well, it's a term that encapsulates this for me, and it's biopsychosocial determinism. And the idea here is that you are your brain. You are who you are because of the particular setup or configuration of your nervous system at this moment. You do what you do because of this particular configuration of your nervous system. Now, if we take that to be true, which it is self evident, where does the particular configuration of your nervous system come from? Well, it comes from a couple of things: genetics and environmental factors, context. I'd like to use a mental model here. Mental models are very helpful in trying to figure out complicated ideas. Imagine, if you will, life as a giant game of pool. And the world, the universe, well, let's focus on Earth, is a giant pool table. Now, we are all balls on this pool table. Now, the game of pool, the balls bouncing off the walls, bouncing off each other, has been going on long before we got to the game. Obvious statement, but worth noting. So, the configuration of the game was there before we were added to the game. Now, you were dropped off at some particular spot in the world. Obviously, you didn't choose where you were born. No one does. So, where you're dropped off on this game is not up to you. There's no choice or free will yet. And obviously, we didn't choose our parents. We didn't choose where our genetics came from. Nor do we choose the particular genes that we got and the particular epigenetics that we got. So you're dropped off somewhere on this giant game of pool. Now, imagine every interaction you have with people and every major event or minor event or minuscule event is a pool ball hitting you as you're making your way through this game. Now imagine that your genetics might contribute to the particular shape of your ball. Maybe some of you are oval, oblong. Maybe some of you have this crazy shape here. Maybe some of you are fragile, much more fragile in particular ways than others. There are all sorts of variations that will change and determine the kind of ball you are. You get knocked around. The events, the balls that hit you are out of your control. The shape of your ball, determined by your genetics in this metaphor, are out of your control. So where is the free will? I don't know. I don't see it. So why are you where you are at this very moment in time? Is it because of free will and choices? Or if you really pause to think about causality, aren't you where you are because of chance, dropped in to a particular point in time, a particular point in geopolitics, and left to get banged around by all the balls around us? That's the perspective. Now, this could be disheartening or depressing. Let's talk about the lessons I'd hope you would take from this. There are two. One, it should give us humility, particularly if you're doing well. Because the reason you're doing well, the reasons for anything being the way they are outside of your control. Your triumphs are not necessarily your own. At the same time, hopefully it'll give you increased compassion. Because if you imagine those of us that are having a very hard time, that are struggling, maybe overdosing on the sidewalk, you got to wonder, why are they where they are? Finally, the take home that I hope will reach some of you is that these interactions we have with each other, balls hitting other balls, they're all we have. We can't change our genetics. What we can change, or what we can become mindful of, is that every interaction we have with each other is going to leave a mark. And maybe this will make us a little more compassionate, a little kinder, and maybe try to put a positive spin on all the balls that we hit. Not just the perspective of this class, and certainly of your professor. Hopefully we'll have a wonderful class together. Welcome.